So over the past few years, I've been meeting with folks, clients, and just people that want to know what a Lean Six Sigma black belt earns. That question seems to resonate. Green belts and black belts and master black belts. These questions seem to come up whenever I'm meeting with folks. So I thought in this video, even though it's sort of a taboo topic to talk about money, I would cover a few things, right? And by the end of this video, you're going to know exactly what a Six Sigma black belt makes, as well as green belt and yellow belt. So make sure you stick around. Now, if you do like content like this, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel if you're not already a subscriber, because I'm going to be releasing a video every Tuesday. Hi, my name is Chad, and I'm a Fortune 500 business improvement professional with over 20 years of experience. Now, I started this channel right here, the one you're on, to help professionals just like you who maybe want to transition into continuous improvement, or someone who has a little bit of experience but maybe isn't getting the exact traction that they want in their career. I started this channel to share concepts and tools and advice, because I've already been through that stuff, right? I've been doing this for 20 years. I've made the mistakes, I've corrected. So I'm going to share that knowledge to help you correct your path, or either start out the correct way so you start your journey correctly. So like I said, if you like this kind of content, make sure you subscribe to my channel. So the way I'm going to structure this video is I'm going to talk about the income possibilities at each belt level. But in order to do that, we need to break this down into 3 steps. Step 1, we're going to talk about belts. Step 2, we're going to talk about knowledge. And then finally in step 3, we're going to talk about salary at each belt level. So I'm going to take you over to my computer now and jump into some slides with step 1. So step 1 is belts. And when we're talking about belts, we're going to have to start at the white belt level, because that is really kind of the beginning. So we start with white belt, and then when we move up from there, and you can see that it goes up the pyramid, right? So you can get a lot of people in at white belt. It's very high level. But when we get to yellow belt, we start narrowing I guess the pool of people. We start teaching very few people this. I wouldn't say very few, but definitely fewer than white belts. These are the people that are really getting interested in learning these tools and concepts. They want to grow in the field, or we want to expand our workforce and make sure that we have a solid foundation in Lean and Six Sigma principles and continuous improvement, that kind of thing. And then we move up to green belt, obviously getting more experience, now getting into some statistics, but don't worry, we're going to cover some of this stuff in step 2. And then black belt, and finally master black belt, and that's sort of the pinnacle, the top of the pyramid here. And not many people achieve that level, so that's why at the top of the pyramid you see there's, it's obviously fewer people there. Let's talk about expectations. So step 2 is expectations. Now I mentioned this as being knowledge, but I really think it's expectations at each level. So let's look at that. So at the white belt level, you're going to have about 0 to 1 years of experience, right? Because it's the beginning. It's the beginning of your career. It's the beginning of maybe learning, and maybe not your career, but definitely your knowledge around Lean and Six Sigma or continuous improvement concepts and tools. So you're aware of Lean, you're aware of Six Sigma, you're aware of continuous improvement and that kind of thing, but you're just not that knowledgeable about it. And then moving up to yellow belt, you're going to have about 1 to 2 years of experience. You're going to be trained in overall Lean methodologies, and you're able to participate on teams. And this is where I think the biggest difference between white belt and yellow belt are, because you're going to have enough knowledge about Lean, Six Sigma, concepts, tools, principles, that kind of thing, to really participate on teams and be successful to participating on teams. Like, you're going to be an active participant, right? So that's sort of the expectations at yellow belt. And there's quite a bit of training that can go on at the yellow belt level. So then we move up to green belt. Now at green belt, this is where you're getting a few more years of experience, 2 to 3 years of experience. You're practitioners of DMAIC, which is the define, measure, analyze, improve, and control sort of framework for Six Sigma and problem solving. And then you're also a practitioner of Lean. So you understand Lean very well. You're going to understand the tools needed. You might not be proficient at all of them, but you definitely have a good understanding and foundation. And you're going to spend approximately 80% of your time on projects. So this doesn't mean you're going to be in a dedicated continuous improvement role, although that may happen. You may absolutely be in a dedicated role where you're using these tools 100% of the time. But what I've noticed in my experience working for companies is that a lot of times these green belts are in like engineering, maintenance even. I've seen that before as well. They're in possibly finance, accounting. So we have these green belts scattered throughout the organization, because they're going to be sort of the cheerleaders for this kind of problem solving and process, right? Because they know and understand the benefit of having these tools or utilizing these tools to solve problems. And then we move up to black belt. Now here we're getting really experienced, 3 to 5 years of experience, often more experience than that, but definitely 3 to 5. Understands DMAIC and Lean. Fundamentally they understand it, not just fundamentally, but also very on a technical level. They understand all the ins and outs of DMAIC and Lean. They're able to use statistics to make decisions. Big differentiator between black belts and green belts is that one. And then you're going to lead and coach multiple green belts. We mentioned this earlier, right? Where we're going to be leading and coaching many green belts throughout the organization, so many projects going on at one time. And they can teach complex Lean and Six Sigma topics. This is something that I would encourage all green belts to get into as they get really experienced, is to start coaching and teaching, or at least teaching Lean and Six Sigma concepts, because it's going to help you grasp and understand the concepts more yourself when you're teaching these things, right? But definitely at black belt level, you should be doing this. And then we get to master black belt. Now, master black belt's going to have 5+ years of experience. Again, often more, usually 10 years of experience. But I mean, I'm safe to say that some people get it with 5 years of experience. But it takes a long time to learn these concepts and tools and principles. They're going to coach and mentor black belts. They're going to coach leaders in the organization on methodologies. So this is a big differentiator between black belts and master black belts. Between a black belt, so at the black belt level, you're learning a lot of the technical tools you're going to use throughout your career, right? And you're not going to get any more of those technical tools at master black belt. So you're going to be using what you've learned to coach leaders in the organization on why it's important to use these tools and concepts, right? That's going to be your main differentiator between black belt and master black belt. And you're also going to be leading strategic planning to ensure growth. So using these tools, you'll be doing things like Hoshin planning or policy deployment. These are the things I'm involved in now, and it's something that as you move throughout your career, you'll get more involved in as well. Now, if you'll notice, you might not stand out. It might not stand out right away. But between black belt and master black belt, again, black belt's technical, but when you get to master black belt, you already have the technical skills. So really what you're doing at master black belt level is you're using the skills that you've learned to influence the organization and the business. So this is where soft skills come into play, and that's mainly what you learn at the master black belt level. All right, so step 3 is pay. So at the white belt level, you can expect to earn about $45,000 to $60,000 in pay. And stick around to the end of this because I'm going to tell you if I agree with these or not. At the yellow belt level, we're looking at $50,000 to $70,000 range. So what I did was I went out and gathered information from the internet. There's various websites you can get on these pay scales and everything. And then, of course, I have experience in this, so I want to make sure I cover that at the end to tell you if I really agree with these pay scales. And then when we get to green belt, now it gets pretty. This is where we're getting to 6 figures, right? According to the internet, $70,000 to $100,000 is potential at green belt. And then at black belt, you have $100,000 to $138,000, and then for the master black belt, we're looking at $138,000 to $197,000. Plus maybe bonuses and things like that. Now, a lot of people might look at this and say, why the big range? Well, I'm going to talk about that in these bullet points. There's variables, right? You have industry. Maybe like if you work in the aerospace industry, you're going to earn more as a black belt than you'd earn at like maybe a plastics injection molding type of environment, or something that's considered not as technical as like aerospace, right, and aeronautics. And then the job title, right? Because a lot of people that get a black belt or a master black belt, they don't always stay in that role. They're not dedicated to a master black belt role or a black belt role, but they'll get jobs in logistics, or they get jobs in finance, or they'll move up in the organization and become directors and C-level execs, right? So they're not gonna. That job title is also going to have some impact on these incomes. And then, of course, the level of education. What type of education do you have? Is it just a high school diploma? Do you have a 2-year degree, associate's degree, bachelor's degree, master's degree, or PhD, a doctorate, whatever? But that's also going to have some impact on these ranges, so that's why you see the large ranges there. But what I want to say is, I want to talk about my experience with this. And what I'll say is at the white belt level, I have no idea. That could be right based on level of experience. Probably a lot of white belts that are certified at white belt level or probably in some low-level quality positions or supervisor positions. And I'm not knocking that. I think that's important. That's where I started, so it's important. But I didn't have a white belt. I went right straight into green belt. But I can tell you at the yellow belt level, this is true because I've coached and trained a lot of yellow belts. So I do agree with that salary range there. Again, depending on industry, it may even go up a little bit more than that. And I wouldn't say less than that, though. I guess it could, depending on the industry you're in, but I definitely think that range is believable, and it's something that I'm not afraid to say I agree with it. Now, when we get to green belt, $70,000 to $100,000, I do think that the six-figure range at the green belt level is tough. I don't think it's normal. I think it depends on, I think that 100,000 six-figure range probably comes in when people have gotten a green belt but move up in their career, but not necessarily dedicated to a CI role. So, for example, if you got your green belt when you were a supervisor, or maybe you got your green belt through college or something, and then you've moved up the ranks into like a management role, then you're earning like a mid-level management role. You're earning six figures possibly, right? But you still have that green belt, and that can be thrown off the fact that just green belts make $100,000, and that's simply not true. Not in all cases anyway. But now when we get to the black belt range, again, it does depend on the industry, job title, and level of education, but this salary range is absolutely believable. It's definitely true. Black belts that have been in this field for a while, usually when you get to the black belt level, you really like this field, so you're sticking with it, and so you've dedicated a lot of your time to earning the certification because you've done projects and you've turned those projects in, and you've had some cost savings to back that up. So the salary at $100,000 to $138,000 is absolutely believable. And then the master black belt as well. I do believe that when you get to the master black belt level, because you have so much influence on the organization, $138,000 to $190 or $197,000, even beyond that, I believe, with bonuses and things like that. I definitely think that's true. So as you can see, you can build a lucrative career in this field, whether it's Lean, Six Sigma, business improvement. These all fall under the same umbrella. You're going to use some of the same tools and concepts. Now, likewise, even if you want to learn these skills to build your current career or enhance the current skill set that you have, this is also a great field to learn. It's great tools to learn and concepts to teach, not just yourself, but maybe your employees if you have those. All right, so here's how you get that free download. Simply go down to the description below, and there'll be a link there. Likewise, there's also a link in the banner of YouTube. I have it up there. You can go in either place and download that free resource I talked about in this video. So make sure you grab that, because I think it's really going to help you. It's going to do a couple of things. One, it's going to go over some of the same concepts we talked about in this video as far as salary and things like that. But it's also going to go into detail on creating that roadmap that you need to get to the point in your career that you really want to be at. So make sure you get that resource. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Look for future videos. Like this video if you like the content, and I'll see you guys in the next one.